now that application season is coming. So we're hoping that out of this presentation, you just get really good feedback as to how to build a portfolio in general, but also get a taste of what each school is actually looking for. Because we're all great art and design schools, we just might have a different lens and approach to making artwork. So that's something you should look into, research, and make sure that you're on top of when you're making an art portfolio for your application. So we're just going to start off really quickly by giving our introductions to ourselves, the school we work for. But I really want you to take this time to actually jot down some of our emails so that you can contact us later on. And we'll start off with CCA.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Annie Huang. I'm the Assistant Director of International Admissions at California College of the Arts.
And I am Chris Corporandi. I am International Admissions Counselor at College for Creative Studies in Detroit, Michigan.
Hi, I am Jenny Robinson. I'm the International Admissions Rep at the Maryland Institute College of Art, also known as MICA, based in South Korea.
And hi, everyone. My name is Kenny de la Peña, and I am the Assistant Director of International Admissions for the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, or SAIC, as it's better known. And again, we welcome you here to our conversation about portfolios.
And we'll provide this information again at the end. So if I click away and you've missed something, don't worry, we'll come back to it.
Yes, and we will also write it down in the chat real quick for all of y'all. But before we even talk about portfolios, I do want to mention something called ACAD, which is a consortium or group of schools of art and design colleges from both the US and Canada that are a great list and resource to look for. So if at any point you're wondering, hey, which would be great schools to look into, just Google ACAD and it will have a list of approved and sorry about that. Accredited, there you go. That's the word I was looking for. Accredited art schools. So these are schools that actually have the resources, the faculty to really allow you to make the artwork you want to make. These schools offer the highest quality of art and design education. So I highly recommend that you look into ACAD. And the cool thing about it as well is if you go to that website, you're even able to sign up to do a portfolio review. So you can click on which universities you would actually want to get feedback on, and you can submit a mini portfolio. You can begin again to get responses from schools and see what each school is looking for, because we're all going to be looking for different things. So you're going to have to adapt your portfolio just a little bit.
So we're going to do a little intro of each of our schools now, and we're going to start with CCA.
Okay. Have you clicked on the next slide yet? Because it hasn't shown up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I did, and I didn't.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there was a lag. All right. So California College of the Arts, we were founded in 1907 in the San Francisco Bay Area. The college's creative culture is built around the ideals of interdisciplinary collaboration, sustainability, community engagement, and social equity. We offer 17 undergraduate programs, and we have 6 programs that are STEM designated. So these are animation, architecture, comics, communication design, interaction design, and interior design. These programs give students an additional 2 years on their student visa for work experience. So in total, students will have 3 years to work within their field after graduating. We have roughly 1,300 students in total. So that's undergrad and grad. Average class sizes are small, so 12 students on average with a 7-to-1 student to faculty ratio. This really allows students to build that mentorship relationship with faculty. All of our faculty are working professionals, so they all have ties to the various industries that they work in. Being in San Francisco, it also gives students the chance to engage with a vibrant creative community. 85% of CCA students intern with Bay Area-based companies like Adobe, Levi's, IDEO, Meta, and Google. And many also go on to work at these same companies. At CCA, it is important to have an interdisciplinary curriculum. This means that students are encouraged to take classes that cross over to other programs. So you're not confined to one perspective or one way of making. So for example, if you were majoring in animation, you could still take illustration classes or textiles classes. Lastly, CCA is rated number 1 for return on investment by PayScale. This means that the money that you put into your education will come back to you in the form of your salary once you graduate.
Okay, and again, I'm Chris Corporandi. I'm here to talk about the College for Creative Studies. We were founded in 1906. We are a fully accredited private nonprofit college offering 11 bachelor's and 6 master's programs. 5 master's programs. Forgive me, I'm working off of old information here. We have been named a best value school by both PayScale and Money Magazine, and we are ranked very highly by several publications and organizations. We are proudly located in Detroit. We were designated the first and only U.S. City of Design by UNESCO, and in Southeast Michigan, which also has the highest concentration of design occupations in the country. For over 15 years, Detroit has enjoyed a model resurgence driven largely by art and design related businesses, and that's a true story. Of our BFA offerings, we're known internationally for programs like transportation design, which means designing vehicle interiors and exteriors. And that could be anything from farm equipment to a luxury sports car. And product design. For our extensive studio art and craft curriculum, we're also known. We have not often found facilities for crafts like glass blowing and blacksmithing studios. We have a communication design and strategy major, which includes a really staggering array of concentrations within it, from typography to brand management to user experience, user interface, and a graphic design program named #1 by Graphic Design USA magazine, and a one-of-a-kind concept design program, which was created by one of the pioneers of the profession. Not to mention the extraordinary extent of facilities and equipment and the 9-to-1 student to faculty ratio, which gives you individualized attention and access to space and equipment at every turn. We also give generous merit-based scholarships covering 40 to 50% of tuition on average per year, a yearly international travel grant, and we give international students hugely reduced housing fees for summer and winter breaks. And there's a ton of work study opportunities. We will also consider need-based appeals. Business and career training are built into the curriculum. Plus, we have a creative entrepreneurship certificate minor, which breaks down the fulfilling process of striking out on your own and making a business of your art and design work. Our Office of Partnerships provides connections through internships, industry days, and corporate-sponsored projects. 6 of our undergraduate degrees are STEM designated, which gives you up to 2 additional years on your student visa to stay in the U.S. for work. Grads' career prospects are further bolstered by one-on-one career coaching, access to powerful global platforms, connections with faculty, and an extensive, influential alumni network. Employment rates within the field of choice within a year of graduation range by program. On average, it's 81%, and in some programs that goes all the way up to 95%. Finally, we were recently awarded recognition by the prestigious Carnegie classifications as an opportunity college, which means that we have measurable career results for our students and graduates, and that is an honor held by only 16% of U.S. colleges and universities. And thanks, and then we're going to move on to Jenny at MICA. Slide. There we go.
Thank
Thank you. Hi, once again, I am Jenny, and MICA was founded in 1826 and is the oldest continuously degree-granting college of art and design in the United States, and we are consistently ranked among the top 10 colleges of art and design in the nation. And we are in Baltimore, Maryland, in the Northeast USA. So the city is home to sports giant Under Armour and home to one of the largest video gaming industries in the US. It has been ranked number 2 in the nation for startup companies by Entrepreneur Magazine, and we are in the heart of the East Coast Arts Corridor, within an hour to 2.5 hours from major hubs like DC, Philadelphia, New York City, where MICA students have access to art and culture as well as professional opportunities. And our alumni work at internationally recognized companies like Apple, Google, Nike, Adobe, Disney, Facebook, and United Nations. 95% of our graduating students are either employed in a creative industry or have gone on to graduate school just 9 months after earning their MICA degrees. And this is a testament to how well MICA prepares students to be successful alumni. And MICA offers a 4-year Bachelor of Fine Arts degrees. We have 26 undergraduate programs, 21 minors, as well as 20 graduate programs that span traditional to the cutting edge, including graphic design, sculpture, illustration, creative entrepreneurship, and our new ecosystem sustainability and justice major. We have STEM majors, including graphic design and animation. And MICA students can also take courses at any of the 13 universities in the Baltimore network for free through our Baltimore Student Exchange Program, which includes Johns Hopkins University. And students can also take advantage of one of the most comprehensive study abroad programs of any art and design college in the US to expand their global experience. And to support entrepreneurial focus of our students and alumni, professional and career development is built into every major. And every year, MICA hosts the Upstart Venture Capital Competition, where MICA awards up to $100,000 to students and alumni to help finance projects and start sustainable business. We have roughly 3,500 students on campus in our undergraduate, graduate, and open studies programs, with around 30% of international students populations coming from 52 different countries. But we have small class sizes with a 9-to-1 student ratio. And MICA typically offers a generous 4-year scholarship opportunities for our international students that are both merit-based and competitive.
And again, hello, my name is Kenny, and I work for the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, again, SAIC for short. We were founded in 1866, and we are one of the most historically significant, fully accredited private and nonprofit independent schools of art and design in the United States. We're currently ranked number 2, top 2 of art and design schools in the United States and number 5 in the world. We are a top producer of Fulbright scholars, and 5 members of our academic team were recently named as Guggenheim Fellows as well. We have around 4,000 students on campus, and 33% of which are international students, representing about 70 different countries. As our name suggests, we are located in the beautiful city of Chicago, which has been ranked as the best big city, I think now 9 years in a row. So go to Chicago. SAIC is an urban campus located in the heart of downtown Chicago, and the city's huge extension of our campus. It is a great resource for all of our students. And we are also a true museum campus. One of our most incredible resources is the Art Institute of Chicago, which actually started as a teaching collective by the SAIC faculty, aka the school came first, then the museum. And then now it holds the 3rd largest collection in the world behind the Louvre and the Met. All of our students have complete access to the museum, and it is an extension of their classrooms. And quite literally, it is connected to one of our buildings. So in the winter, if you're ever cold, go through the Art Institute of Chicago to get to class. At SAIC, students must conduct about 15 credits of art history, and many of these classes will actually take you to the Art Institute itself because there is a museum component to them. Now, speaking about curriculum, what sets us apart is that SAIC is entirely and fully interdisciplinary, and so much so that we do not have majors, and you will not have to declare a major at SAIC. This means you are building your own degree and specializing as you see fit across the 18 studio and academic departments we have. We have a small sample of concentrations and potential specializations on the screen. We believe that meaning and making come together, and students have to take about 30 credits of liberal arts classes as the intellectual backbone to their art and design practices. These courses are not your typical math class, but instead are more like chemistry for ceramic glazes or the philosophy of art. We have one professor who wrote a book called How to Bake Pie. And as I mentioned, we do not have a traditional letter grades. Instead, we have critique-based assessment system, and this mirrors the professional creative world. Faculty often invite professionals from the field to the class, and they will also be part of your critiques. Critiques are not meant to tear you down. They're meant for growth and innovation. As an alum, this last bit is one of my favorite things about SAIC. It is our faculty. Our faculty are incredible, world-renowned professionals and experts working in the field that they teach in. They are exhibiting artists, working designers, and active researchers. They are constantly the most aware of how the industry works as they actively work in it themselves. At SAIC, I truly believe that more than just professors, they become your mentors. And after you graduate, you are now part of a whole ecosystem and they become your colleagues. Lastly, something just to mention is that over 95% of our alums are employed in creative professions within 9 months of graduation. Our Career and Professional Experiences Department, or CAPX for short, they help students properly prepare for life after art school. Students have collaborated with companies like Samsung, Bosch, Red Nose, and more while still at SAIC, and have moved on to work at companies like Sotheby's, Vogue, Meta, Ernst & Young, IBM, Spotify, Disney, and many, many more. And now that we just quickly introduced our schools and you're getting to know a little bit more about us, I actually want to begin and pose the question to Annie. What is a portfolio?
All right. Thanks, Kenny. So moving on to, what we're all here for today is to talk about portfolios. So yes, what is a portfolio? It is a selection of work that has been compiled over a period of time. And it's important for us admissions counselors, for colleges, as well as your future employers to be able to assess performance or progress and if you're a good fit for, the organization or the institution. It demonstrates your creativity, your personality, your abilities, as well as your commitment to art and design, and it helps us to evaluate your potential. You can also use work that you created in school, in any pre-college programs that you've done, or things that you've done independently. We actually like seeing work that you've created outside of school because it gives us an idea as to what you like to create without having a prompt from a teacher. Your portfolio should represent your best work. It should give us an insight into your personal journey, your personality. And again, things that you're interested in, really what we're focusing on when we're assessing student portfolios. Sometimes students will include things that they think the college wants to see. So they think the college wants to see how experimental you are, and then you may put some things there, but it may not be your best work, and it may not be the work that you're most proud of. We're not expecting portfolios to be professional portfolios at this point. We understand that you are either still in high school or perhaps you're at a community college. You may or may not have had the resources to be able to take animation classes or game design classes. So we're mostly looking for creative potential. It's mostly about your ideas. Schools are looking for different things, but usually it's between 10 to 20 pieces of work. None of us here today have program-specific requirements. Maybe CCS might have some specific programs that do, but in general, we don't. There are schools that, might require a program-specific portfolio, meaning if you're thinking of applying to architecture, they want to see only architecture in your portfolio. For us, we want to be able to see your creative skills through any medium. So that's what we mean by not program specific. So any drawings, any paintings, anything 3D, video skills, photography, creative writing, you're able to include. Some schools also require observational work. Most schools require finished pieces. So you don't have to show us the research, the working process. Just the finished piece is fine, especially if you're looking at American schools and not British schools. Remember, it's important to reach out to each school directly to find out what each of our portfolio requirements are. And we'd be happy to talk more at the end during the Q&A session.
I have to unmute. Hi. So your perspective and your point of view is really unique. So really don't be afraid to showcase that in your portfolio and think that's the #1 priority, you and your point of view. If there's a subject matter that's important to you, you should address that. And as admissions counselor, we look at many, many portfolios each day. So, think about what it is that makes you unique and how you can make that come through to make your portfolio stand out amongst the rest. You might not want to think of it so much as a competition with other students, but just how can I most fully show myself and what's my best work, as Annie said. As mentioned earlier, we just really want to get to know you through your work. When we look at your portfolio, we want to be able to get a picture of who you are as an artist, as well as your personality. Also, try digging a little deeper into the ideas that you're already exploring. There are really a lot more layers to everything than you think there are, and there's going to be endless layers. It doesn't have to be surface level ideas. It's okay to show work in progress ideas too, in some cases, but you just want to make sure that it's part of a larger theme or shows the process of the work that you are leading up to with those finished pieces. It's okay to, do like something like the start of a larger series or project, and just remember to let us know when you put your little comments on the side and put it in the description box. And that's also why we often like to see the work that you've created outside of class. It gives us a better depiction of the things that you like without a prompt from a teacher. Sometimes you might have created something in class that you're like, this was so good though, I got to put this in. Sure, of course, please put it in. But we really also want to see the stuff that you were like, I think I'm going to break the rules a little bit. Or I'm going to play with this idea that nobody ever talked to me about. So that's something to just consider. You do want to show your technical skill. Showcasing your technical skill can help an artist develop a body of work. So if you think of a medium that you excel in or you want to improve on, you can use that as the foundation as you develop your portfolio. You can think about how that skill set is communicating your overall concept and idea. We often see a lot of observational drawings and portraits, and sometimes that's what we want to see to some degree. And you are showing us your technical skills, but sometimes those don't always tell us about the student's interests. So again, I can't hammer the point home enough. If you show us a still life, make sure it's a still life of objects that are personal to you. My suggestion would be to use the technical skills that you've picked up from all of the observational drawing practices and then apply it to something that is fun, interesting, and cool.
Yes, and we also want to get the chance to see your process if necessary. So seeing your journey from start to finish. So if you have a piece where you have any sketches or thumbnails that can give us better context of your piece, that can be an option to include in your portfolio as well. Just make sure that you balance this out correctly so that the process work is not taking too much of the limelight from your final piece. So sometimes we'll see portfolios where one slide has way too many sketches or drawings and models, and the final piece is left in the corner. Remember that the process images are only meant to support your final piece, not be the final piece. And documenting your work is key. No matter how great your work is, if you don't have a clean, good image or video, we're not going to be able to see how lovely your piece is. So once you've compiled your collection of work, try to document it in take photos in a clean, well-lit space with high resolution. Make sure that your orientation is correct and that all your borders are clean. Details are key. Remember, quality over quantity. Show your strongest work and omit your weaker pieces, even if they display more variety. And also, it's great to practice talking and writing about your work, thinking about how has this idea or piece evolved? Have I explored multiple visual solutions? What was my intent? And has this message been captured? And what is can be left open to interpretation? And do remember that we are seeing your work digitally, very much like you are seeing this presentation now. So be very conscious of spacing between images and the scale of each image, and consider that what we can see and how to best show the strengths of your work. And also you can include detail shots and place the pieces in an intentional order that you can create a narrative or visual story, and you can provide us with the necessary context in the explanation boxes. You don't necessarily need to have all this text in your image slide.
And so most of us, and most art universities, are going to ask you to submit your portfolio through a platform called SlideRoom. Now, I do want to mention MICA does not use SlideRoom, so please make sure to check in with Jenny to make sure that you know how you're going to be submitting your work. But again, a good amount of schools, even open calls, residencies, grants, if you're planning to continue in a creative field, right now they're using SlideRoom. And it is literally just how you see it on the screen. We get to see an image of your work. And on the right side, there is a space for a title. There's a space for the date it was made, mediums, and then a caption, a description of your work. I always like to say that this is very much like Instagram. So it's just going to ask you, upload media. You drag and drop the image you want to put in. You click next. That's when you're going to fill out all the title and the caption information. Then you click next, and it appears there in a feed. Then the next one, then the next one, and the next one. And you can move those around if you would like to make a different order. And once that feed is in the correct way, submit it. So please don't feel like you need to stress on making very specific PDFs or making very specific websites. Again, check in with each school, but at least for those using SlideRoom, just the actual images and videos of your artwork will suffice. And one thing to keep in mind, do not overcrowd your slide with images. You got to remember, we are looking at thousands of applications. And so it's best to guide our eyes as to what you actually want us to see about the finished piece. So I do know that, for example, in IB or an AP portfolios, you are asked to put in ideation, process, text here, text there, and then like a big caption and a title. All of a sudden, the artwork that you made is this big. And now, what I want you to understand is that that portfolio is a great exercise to allow you to understand that ideation is part of the artwork, that process is part of the artwork. But each time you're applying to something different, you're going to be switching that portfolio to meet those requirements. So now this portfolio is no longer for the AP. It's no longer for IB requirements. It's for a university. So if you do want to do something like show process and ideation, I suggest making very simple layout. Maybe having the image of your work be the main thing. Then smaller, you have process, process, process. And that is a very quick, simple way of showing us how the work was made and then seeing the final piece. Another thing I recommend is just upload the image of the work, and maybe the next slide is just the images of the process. Boom. We will understand and connect the dots right away. But please do not overcrowd your slides. Again, at the end, it might just end up looking like a collage, and I might not understand what is actually going on, and I will miss out on crucial information about your artwork and how you make artwork. So again, even in slides, less is more. If we can just guide our eyes as to how we are supposed to view your artwork, that's going to be the best thing to do. And within all of this, I really want to push, feel free to experiment. Ultimately, that's kind of what we want to see. And we also hope that you are enjoying in this. I always like to say that artists are just mad scientists, and we're just cranking things out, experimenting and playing around and seeing what happens. But this is also the best way of actually understanding, what mediums do I enjoy using? What materials do I find intriguing? How do I combine and create these new processes? How do I create new artwork made by doing a medium in the totally wrong way, thus creating like this whole new visual language? This is really the moment for you to just continue exploring. And actually, as an artist and a creative, this is something you're going to do your entire life, is just continue experimenting and really creating that visual voice for yourself. In the screen, you can just see a couple of examples showing material or digital exploration and how those may tie back into an overarching concept or idea that is shown throughout your work. But really, take the time to experiment. And something we mentioned earlier is that we really do want to see you. So a still life of a bowl of fruit might be well done and well drawn, but other students, 20 other students can do the same thing. I'd rather be seeing how you're using that technique and that exploration to really create the weird, wacky artwork that you're interested in making.
Great, thanks, Kenny. I remember my friend during our MFA was studying jewelry. During one of her experiments, she was working with eggshells, and then she proceeded to work with eggshells for the next 3 years. And then even after we graduated now and she's working, she set up her own studio and everything, she's still working with eggshells. So this whole experiment of trying something new ended up being something that, she ended up loving and ended up continuing on into her career now as an artist. So as you're experimenting, remember to have fun. So you should definitely be having fun when you're developing your portfolio. I know it's easier said than done, but we do want to remind you that this is the best time for you to be able to try different things. And the stakes are lower now. So just have fun, enjoy. It's about showcasing you as an artist, your ideas, what you're interested in. I know we've been repeating a lot of the same keywords, but we want to just sort of reinforce the fact that we want you to put your personality into your portfolio. Sometimes those gifts that you made and that you sent to your friends, or even other items that you didn't use for assignments, may end up being your strongest works of art. So here are just some examples of some fun pieces that we enjoyed seeing in student portfolios.
And so a couple things just to avoid or be very cautious of when you are forming a portfolio. So if you are creating artwork that is overly derivative, that just means that it's very much taking someone else's art style, whether that be another artist that is already very famous, or maybe something you saw on TV, or maybe even just fan art, where it's just recreating the style of a very particular anime that you love. This is where things might lose a little bit of you in it. So it's not that fan art is bad, it's not that anime is bad, but instead make sure that you are in there and that you're included, that your voice is there. So if you're making manga, for instance, make it your manga, not an imitation of Demon Slayer. Be inspired, but create your own stories and develop your own style. If you're depicting a celebrity, change the context they're in. So instead of just drawing a portrait of Ariana Grande, why not draw Ariana Grande riding a shark through a mall? It's much more intriguing, but you're also at that point maybe building a critique about popular culture. So even though the imitations and fan art can totally be pieces that you enjoy creating in your free time, they're likely not going to be the best pieces to display your skills and, moreover, again, your style and your thinking. We really want to see your creative and original ideas. If you enjoy doodling or sketching out ideas when you're in class, home, or out and about, always try to carry around a small sketchbook with you so that it's clean paper and that it clearly showcases what you're creating rather than getting lost on line paper, for example. Sometimes you just want to highlight a portfolio piece that you may only have access via social media account. If this is the only option, please make sure to always crop so that it's only the artwork in the image itself. We are happy to see that individual friends. We're happy to see that your like friends are liking and commenting on your artwork, but ultimately, if you're posting it like that to a portfolio, then it's going to draw attention away from the artwork. Unless maybe your whole art is making conceptual social media things, then maybe it makes sense. But usually, it's just going to draw away from the artwork itself. And lastly, when you're documenting your work through photography, try to do it from a 90-degree angle so that you can see what's on the slide. Overall, essentially what we're trying to say, again, try to provide no distractions for your artwork. Let the artwork breathe. Let it be the center. Respect your artwork when you're showing it to us, because ultimately the portfolio is a visual book. It is allowing us, you are guiding our eyes to be able to see the artwork in the way you want us to be able to see it. So please make sure that it includes yourself, that if you're using things that already exist, that you're changing the context of them, and that you're making sure that we can see clearly what is the artwork.
And for most of our schools, as mentioned before, you don't necessarily have to tie your work to the specific program that you are applying to, even in the case of CCS, where there are some particulars in some cases. In most cases, we really just want to see your creativity as well. And you can ask me more about specifics later on if you like. If you want to, though, in case you are like, you're doing that kind of work already and you're like, well, that's what I'm doing and I want to do it and I want to show what I've been doing, that's fine too, of course. So if you do want to, here are some examples from those concentrations. So for instance, animation, game design, illustration, portfolios. These are some examples of things that we've seen that have been, kind of really blown us away. And we've been like, yeah, all right, cool. This is them. It shows technical skill, all of that stuff. Another thing too is if you've made a game or an app or a website, you can always just like screen record it, right? Just make sure to keep any videos total to like under 5 minutes. Because if you can imagine, we don't want to spend probably more than 15 or 20 minutes per portfolio. And so if we're watching 10 minutes worth of film work per portfolio or even more, I've had someone send me an entire feature-length movie before, which was an amazing undertaking of them, but it was too much for me to take in a meaningful way at that time. Let's see. Here are some examples of architecture work that people have done, but as you can see, there's also like there's 3D work and 2D work and digital work and analog work. So there's all kinds of ways to go about that. Concept design portfolios is in here. I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, my friends, but I believe CCS is the only school that has this specifically as a major, concept design. And it is, the reason I'm showing it is just please ask us. We have a whole like half-hour long video on just that portfolio. That one major requires a special portfolio, but I'll tell you what, if you do a good concept design portfolio for us, you can probably use it for almost any other major for us or in any other school. So I'm just going to put that out there. Here are some cool fashion examples. People, again, doing analog drawings, 2D drawings, but also draping actual work and doing 3D renderings, showing some of the materials that they've used or even designed. Some just lots of cool little ideas there. So, all right, so now we're going to go on to talk about pre-college programs.
Yes, pre-college is a great way to get a taste of the college experience while you're a high school student. So definitely recommend, if you want to develop your portfolio, check out some of our campuses and possibly earn college credit. Look at the pre-college programs we have to offer. We have anywhere from 2-week to 10-week programs. Depending on the school, there may be a variety of in-person, hybrid, and virtual options. So please check out our websites and reach out to any of us individually to get more information about these programs if you are interested. I did pre-college when I was in high school, and it was a fantastic experience personally. I think it really helps you develop your portfolio, and it gives you a great idea of like, oh, is this the place that I want to be? Is this the type of education that really fits my needs?
And then scholarships, very, very important thing to know. As you are applying to college, at the same time, go researching and applying for scholarships. And now there's usually 2 types of scholarships that you might hear. And some of it is usually called like inside scholarships or outside scholarships. Inside is usually a scholarship that is coming from the actual university or institution. Many of these might be merit scholarships, which means that they are based on your work and your portfolio. Many schools will most likely look at your application holistically, but we'll also put a bit of an emphasis on your portfolio and your artist statement. So also very important to go drafting artist statements and really editing that. In terms of outside scholarships, there's an array of different ways of actually getting them. Some are going to be through nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations. So you really need to start doing the research for them. Up on the screen, we put a list of resources that you can look into, like fastweb.com, and you can search in. Or now you have the beauty of ChatGPT, where you can be as literal as scholarship for art students that want to study in the US, and a list will come out for you. So it makes your research just a little bit easier, but still be critical and look into see if the scholarship is real. But again, make sure that you're applying at the same time you're applying to colleges. And please do not bank on the idea that the college is going to pay for everything. Not because I do not think you are wonderful, but because just in life, we need to have plan A, B, C, D, E, F. So go and apply to all these different scholarships, not just the big ones, not just the big fish, but all these other tiny little scholarships that exist as well. Sometimes those are ignored, and maybe you're the only person who applied and automatically get it. And if you get so many little tiny fishes, all of a sudden you might have more money than just the big fish. So really make sure that you're applying to scholarships. Another thing to note is that these scholarships might be very oddly specific and say that they're a scholarship for girls that play tennis and are redheads. And you might find yourself saying, I am a girl, I play tennis, but my hair is orange. Don't hesitate. Instead, apply. Let them figure out if it's red or if it's orange. Maybe for them it is red. But don't discount yourself first. When you're in doubt, you can always reach out to that institution, or like I said, just apply and still give yourself that chance. And if we can go to the next slide, thank you. And with that, we actually reached part of the end in the Q&A session of our presentation. So any questions you might have, please do not be shy in asking them. Even if it's information that we already talked about, it's okay. We can go into a deeper level or discussion about it. So please, any type of question that you might have, this is the time to have 4 amazing institutions answer them. And I see one which says, if we can't use notebook, then can we use a sketchbook? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sketchbooks are awesome.
I think part of the reason we mentioned the notebook is that those usually just have the lined paper. And so the lined paper becomes a distraction. So let's say you did this amazing artwork in your notebook that you're like, hey, this could be a finished piece that I can actually use for my portfolio. But then you have all these lines going through it, then it might distract from it and it might ruin it. So when in doubt, use a sketchbook that doesn't have lines.
Right.
Yeah, if you're using a sketchbook, sometimes you see those scrolls on the side. So if you can just crop that out and just have the piece focused on your drawing itself with nothing distracting in the background, it just goes further. It just automatically makes it look more professional.
Absolutely. And I actually, and one thing about the, Kenny already said this in another capacity earlier in the presentation, but if you want to do something that is like particularly like on purpose with lined paper, if that's part of your art, then do that. In fact, I had a student who submitted a portfolio that it was like she would do these 6-foot canvases where she had taken like little notes or little journal entries of her own, or even like of her mother's, I think. And she just recreated them, almost photorealistically, but painted them on these huge canvases with all of the lines of the paper. So obviously that was going to be like, we're not going to be like, it's got lines, but yeah, and that ended up being really a beautiful project. So there's another question. Do we have handouts or a replay of the webinar? I believe it's being recorded. I am not sure off the top of my head how to get that to you, but if you want to reach out to one of us, and we'll leave our information at the end, we can find that out for you and get it to you.
Yes, definitely. Now going on to another question. It says, should I still include figure drawings if I'm making an architecture portfolio? So this goes back to what we mentioned, at least for our schools, that except CCF.
No. Yeah, we're a lot looser than it sounds like.
Okay. Sorry. Essentially, what that question is, we are not looking for program-specific portfolios. Meaning, if you're interested in architecture, does not mean you only need to show architecture. If you're interested in fashion, doesn't mean you only have to show fashion. You can show a mix and match of all the different mediums and techniques you like to use. Keyword, you like to use. Don't just put all mediums and techniques just because you want to show us that you can do everything when you're not interested in doing everything. Do and put in the things that you like making. If you like figure drawings, put it in. But again, most of us, I will say primarily for SAIC, we do not have requirements for figure drawing, landscapes, portraiture, still lives. So take off that pressure and instead put in the artwork you actually want to do. Sorry, I didn't know if you wanted. Another question says, I'm not really good in drawing, fashion designing, but I have an idea of what to draw and how to draw it. How can I make them really good?
How do I know what to draw?
So
I was going to say for fashion, you could either get a template of the body. There are a lot of templates available for you to download, and then just really use that opportunity to just experiment with design ideas. So that's one way for you to go about it. Or focus, well, how do I say it? Or, you can try to practice drawing a figure. Again, we're not looking for professional portfolios at this point. For us at CCA, there is a first year program where you will be taking drawing classes. So that will help you to build on your foundation skills. So it's okay if you're not good at drawing now, but it's about your ideas. It's about the concepts. It's about, what you would like to do, what you would like to make at our schools.
Yeah. For fashion, sometimes what I recommend to students is looking at collages, whether that's magazines or different materials that you actually want to use later on in the designs themselves. Because ultimately, you just need to give the essence of a figure. Doesn't mean you need to draw something that looks realistically like a human body. You just need to give an essence of where the head is at, where are the shoulders, where are the hips, where are the legs, and how does that garment look and feel on top of that. So you might find that by just cutting things out and putting them together, or getting the materials or the fabrics that you think you're going to use and laying them in a certain way that just gives us a hint of a body without it necessarily needing to be a photorealistic body. Emma Chang is asking, is it better to show a consistent theme in an art portfolio or a variety of different ideas? Well, I'll mention for SAIC. So for SAIC, we do not require a theme. We don't require a series. So if you do have a variety of ideas, naturally put them in. But do not force yourself to make different varieties and different ideas just for the sake of a portfolio. Again, this is about letting us see who you are as an artist, what is the art you're making, and why you find yourself making it over and over and over again. This is the opportunity for that. So don't feel that there is a very specific way this art portfolio needs to look. So do not force yourself to make different varieties of ideas. Do not force yourself to use different mediums. If it's already naturally coming to you, that's how you should put it in. And that's how you'll know that this is strong work that actually shows and represents who you are.
So each of the schools offer portfolio reviews. So you're able to reach out to the schools and ask for the portfolio review appointment link. And I think we can also share them here in the chat box as well. So that's another opportunity for you to show what you have. And then with the admissions counselor on how to put a portfolio together. So, once you lay out all of your work, you can then see, is there a theme? Maybe there is. Maybe you just love doing portraits and that's your thing. Then, yeah, if that is your best work and what you're proud of, then go with that. Or, after looking at all your work, you see some 2D drawings, paintings, but you also have some ceramic work. And then you also have some really good photography work. Then you can then talk about how you want to arrange everything. And so think about the ordering of your portfolio. So there isn't one way to make a portfolio is really what we're trying to get at today.
There's also, just mentioning, Christopher put a whole bunch of information there as well and resources for y'all. The next question that is being asked is, what qualities would make a portfolio stand out?
Well, one thing is, you want to pay attention to things like composition, like, even that's a kind of a basic concept artistically. It's something that, when something is really well composed, both the portfolio itself, in terms of the presentation of the portfolio, and each individual piece that you're filling the page, that you're, when it's, artistically jives with your idea, of course. But things like that, just think about basics and think about your use of light and shadow and make sure that those things are popping, but also, Just making it stand out is about making it in a way you want to ask yourself that question, right? So like you want to say to yourself, what do I think the school should want to see, as opposed to what do I think the school wants to see? Does that make sense?
And the most cliche thing, but it's you. If the portfolio actually shows you, that makes it stand out. So again, you're just trying to put in artwork that shows your technique. You're trying to put in that bowl of fruit that looks very realistically drawn. Again, 20 other students can do the exact same thing. I'd rather be seeing how you're using that technique to create the wacky things you are envisioning. That is really what's going to separate your work and make you stand out, is when you're truly allowing yourself to experiment and you're allowing yourself to find a visual language for yourself that sets you apart from just the bowl of fruit. Did you want to mention something, Jenny? Sorry, I think I cut you off.
Oh, no worries. No, I was going to actually say that what you mentioned earlier about experimenting and really getting goofy can really help strengthen your portfolio, but also just tell us a lot more about you. Yeah, so don't be afraid to have a sense of humor, to show us your personality, and to be your most honest, wackiest self through your work.
Mm-hmm. Another question that we have is, what should be included in the description of a piece?
Yeah, good question. So just to give us context, we're not expecting a whole essay in the description box. So just a couple of sentences that will allow us to better understand the piece. So usually I say 2 to 3 sentences. So a little bit about, the inspiration, or maybe it's the specific way that you made the piece that is unique to the piece. If there is a story behind the piece, perhaps it was a sentimental piece related to family or a relationship that prompted you to make it. And so, yeah, just a couple of sentences just so that we can understand more as to how this piece came to be.
Yeah, if scale is important to the artwork, that is also something worth mentioning, because we're seeing it on a screen. We might not know that it's 10 meters wide and 10 meters tall. I don't even know how many meters that is because I usually talk in feet. But if it's scale that is important, for example, even with videos and films, that you're like, hey, I made a 20-minute long animation. Obviously, I cannot show you all 20 minutes here. You can put in the description, fragments of a 20-minute long animation. I can understand the scope of it. I can understand that this isn't the whole thing, and that's why it feels a little bit fragmented. So use it to give us additional information or context. It's not that you have to have very specific kind of like museum or gallery notations in your comment section or in your caption, just things that are going to give us context. Again, please don't put a whole essay. We won't really have the time to read it. But again, something short and quick will suffice.
Yeah, and that's a great point, actually. Slide Room will give you text boxes for size. So if it is like a drawing or a painting, you are able to put the dimensions in. But yeah, if it did come from a 20-minute film, that would be helpful for us to know. And also, if it was a group project, perhaps, the film that you created, you played a specific role in the designing of the piece or the prop design, or you were the director, or you were the screenplay writer, we would want to know what role you played within a larger project. And you can definitely include that in your portfolio as well. Sometimes I get asked by students where they're not sure if they're able to include group project work. So you definitely can, but you just need to mention what was your part in it.
Yes, and sometimes what I suggest for students is use the keyword collaborative work. And all of a sudden it elevates it. and makes it seem like you were working together on purpose, which you were, but it brings it to a different level in the art world. Additionally, something to mention in the caption is materials, but especially when materials are very oddly specific. Like maybe you made a whole painting using jams and spices that you found inside your cupboard because that was the challenge you were giving yourself. That adds context to the artwork that you weren't using paint, and is very important actually. Or maybe that you were creating sculptures by walking around the street and picking up different items that then became part of a bigger assemblage. That is also important. So when materials are like, I would like to say beyond the stereotypical like oil, acrylic, I'd say it's very much worth mentioning.
Also showing your process when you're doing a group project, having like a slide showing your specific contribution or any process photos can help us understand how you specifically contributed to this big piece. So say it's a group installation or a mural, you can show pictures or sketches or just photos of you doing your contribution. So keep that in mind with group projects.
Are there any other questions y'all might have? You can go ahead and put them in the chat. We're here to help.
Yeah, I think we maybe just have enough time for one more question. I think we're already at time. But before we go, I do also want to remind everyone of National Portfolio Day. So we will be in Vancouver and Toronto for National Portfolio Day. Let's put the NPD link in the chat box. So remember that you can come for NPD, you can chat to not only our 4 institutions, but other ACAD schools will also be there as well. And then since we will be perhaps in your city, reach out to schedule one-on-one meetings or appointments.
Yes. Also, SAIC will be at Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver, so you can catch us there, whichever one is closest and most accessible to you. And also, shameless plug that I want to put in, SAIC will be conducting one-on-one portfolio reviews in the Vancouver area the weekend following the NPD, so that is November 15th. And so these are one-on-one sessions. They're called portfolio review, but you can bring in portfolios at any part of the portfolio making process. If you have 3 artworks, let's talk about it. If you want to show me your artist statement, let's do that. If you just have questions about SAIC, think of this as being a 30-minute space for you to get all your questions answered. I'm going to put the link in the chat where you can actually sign up for those. Again, November 15th in the Vancouver area. And it'll be me.
So, and I'm just putting my info finally one more time into the chat, so you all have it. Oh, you know what? And let me give you the last slide just so you can take a last look at that. Does it? Has everyone else put in the information that they want to put in? Okay, great.
Yep.
All right. Let me just get mine in there real quick. There we go. So I'm putting in my email, phone number, which you can WhatsApp me or text me or call or whatever. And then my Calendly link if you want to make a virtual or in-person meeting appointment with me for when I'm in one of your cities. So I or one of us will be also in Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal. All right.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed our session.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you so much.